killed. That shouldn't be the only time we find out about black people getting killed by the police. We need to get organized together as a nation of activists so we can call on each other whenever we need help. We need to demand change, not ask for change. They think this is a negotiation. This is not a negotiation. I came here to demand change. I'm tired. Are y'all tired? Because I'm tired. My grandsons ain't gonna be marching for the same stuff my granddaddy marched for. This is a revolution, all right? We just marched 750 miles from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 24 days to get here because we not gonna stop until we get change. That's what we need in this country. All of y'all that came today, I know y'all been marching in y'all cities. I know y'all been marching. Don't stop marching. We gonna organize because they don't expect that. We gonna come together because they don't expect that. We gonna demand change because they don't expect that. We not gonna have our kids marching. This is it. We've been marching for the same stuff for 60 years. Black people shouldn't be marching for the same stuff Martin Luther King was marching for. I'm tired. I'm tired. And I'm tired of asking for justice. I just want it to stop. We don't want justice. That's after a racist police do something to us. We need them out of the police. We need all these racist people gone. We need change, and we can get that by vote. Now, while we marched in 750 miles, everybody that came and chastised us, everybody that came with shotguns, everybody that came messing with us had Trump signs. Trump 2020. That's the new way that they exhibit racism in this country and hide behind it. So we gotta vote Trump out of office, all right? So when it's time to vote, we gonna vote. And if y'all see me up here, if you an activist, stop me out there so we can organize. It's time. This is the revolution. This is the revolution.
Reverend Al Sharpton, Martin Luther King III. I also want to recognize the young leaders standing behind me from Ned Youth Huddle and Ned Collegiate. We find ourselves here in the spirit of John Lewis, making good trouble, necessary trouble, because the soul of our democracy is depending on it. We're not here to ask for justice. We're not here to negotiate justice. But we are here to demand justice. Far too many times we have been cut out. Far too many times we have been budgeted out, counted out, resourced out. It's time for legislators to invest in education. It's time for legislators to invest in mental health services. It's time to invest in communities. And I love my 1891. It's time to invest in historically black colleges and universities. Because we don't deserve just a half a dollar. We don't just deserve the quarter of the dollar, but we deserve the whole dollar. Dr. King spoke about the check that bounced in the Bank of Justice. And we've come to let the teller know at the bank that this check better not bounce. Because we will march and we will fight because that's what we deserve. In the words of Dr. King in closing, again, we come to cash the check, a check that is willing to demand the riches of freedom and security of justice. Thank you. No justice.
A man shot in the back and paralyzed. Peaceful protesters shot and killed by white nationalist vigilantes as the police have turned a blind eye and silence from the man who holds the highest office in the land.
What's his name?
George Floyd.
What's his name?
George Floyd.
I am here because our communities are very
We cannot be paralyzed. The black church, you cannot be paralyzed saying that you're not going to support Black Lives Matter because of three fearless black sisters who happen to be lesbian. We've got to love our LGBTQ community, realizing that those are our sons and those are our daughters. We cannot be paralyzed. We cannot be paralyzed into believing Mr. Jones' water is colder. This is the time where we've got to support black businesses. because too many of them are closing down because of COVID-16, 19. Not because they don't have adequate service, but because they don't have adequate support. But what America has to know about the tenacity of black people is that even when you render us paralyzed, we still know how to crawl. And on November 3rd, no matter what you do, we gonna crawl to the polls. If you take away the mailbox, we still gonna crawl. You take away the polling stations away from our community, we still gonna crawl. We gonna sing the original gangster rap music. Before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go on to my Lord and be free. We still gonna crawl. There is something about us that understands that we stand today with our brother Jacob, realizing that even if we find ourselves
all across the nation, we are going to be a great generation. That was in 2018. I didn't know what would hit us in 2020. A pandemic that shut our schools and put our young lives on hold. More killings of unarmed black people by police. Attacks on our right to vote. More killing. The worst economic crisis since the Great Depression that we learned about in school. And more extreme weather than ever before. But great challenges produce great leaders. We have mastered the selfie and TikToks. Now we must master ourselves. Less than a year before he was assassinated, my grandfather predicted this very moment. He said that we were moving into a new phase of the struggle. The first phase was the civil rights, and the new phase is genuine equality. Genuine
We need to
equality
go back to
is
Washington.
why we are here today. And why
He said, well, let's talk it out, Reverend Al. As I was giving the eulogy, I announced this march. We didn't know how we were going to do it, how we were going to plan it, how many would come, but we did it. Why are we in Washington? I talked with one of the leading minds of our nation, Dr. Michael Eric Dyson, and he told me that, Reverend Al, you got to understand that until there's federal legislation, every state will do what it wants to do. We have passed in the House of Representatives the George Floyd Policing and Justice Act. Now we need to pass that act in the Senate. We need Mitch McConnell and the U.S. Senate to meet on the George Floyd Policing and Justice Act, or we're going to meet you senators at the poll in November 3rd, whether we got to mail in, walk in, ride in, crawl in. We want